What is going on? We're back.
We are. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you for asking. It's week 2. Yeah, I like this. I like this, going over, the different categories in the stack charts because yeah, it gives us a chance to sort of talk about like, hey, what's happening, who's there, what's coming up. So, hey, I have a question. How did, last week you were on with your Apple Vision Pro. What's your assessment? Like, where are you at with it now?
I'm cautiously optimistic, and I say cautiously because I want to be in love with the product. The problem, air quote problem, is that it just doesn't have a bazillion apps like the iPad or iPhone do. So
Yeah.
it's like it's great. I have my neck is fused, so like this is all my range of motion. So I can't use like a laptop on my lap. So the
Hmm.
the ability to put a screen wherever I want, have it floating up on the ceiling or whatever, like it is awesome for accessibility. I love it for that. It just doesn't have the app support yet. It'll get there though.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just like when Jobs introduced iPhone for the first time, you know,
Yeah,
and then the developer integration at third-party app thing exploded after that. So, well, it's gonna be interesting to see what they do. One thing I've always loved about VR/AR type things is uh, I've always had this vision of being able to go into like a server room, you know, or even looking at a whole cubicle of desks and stuff, just looking at, I can see, you know, like the IPs and where things are going, things like that. So, uh, but we'll see. We'll
Unify is
see.
already working on it. That
Yeah, I heard. Yeah.
Yeah, Unify's got some pretty cool stuff when it comes to augmented reality. I haven't used it yet, but my
Hmm.
what I've heard is you hold the app up with your phone and it shows you
Hmm.
details about the switches and firewalls and whatever you got in the rack. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. 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 I remember that. I'm waiting for the day I just look and just work with my hands and just keep looking around. So
Absolutely.
Minority Report style. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. I think we're all waiting for that day. But
Yeah.
hey, welcome everyone to StackChart Spotlight. Garrett already said this is week 2. We're excited to be here. I'm Steve. This is Garrett with me. We are from Channel Program, and every Monday we go live to talk about a new category of tools for MSPs. You can learn more about the tools that we're going to discuss today and hundreds more by going to channelprogram.com and heading to the menu in the top right, hitting MSP tools, and clicking on Category Explorer slash
Hmm.
Stack Charts. This week, we're going to talk about the vulnerability assessment and management tools, which is a subcategory under cybersecurity. Cybersecurity, that's something that it wasn't really a thing when I started my MSP. Like it wasn't a thing that we focused on for our small business clients back in 2009. Like we just wanted to make sure we had antivirus and good backups. Backups was the big thing.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um,
Well, I
what,
mean, but 2009, if I remember correctly, that was the year that, well, not the year, but it was right around the time when the cloud was becoming, a thing, and there were a lot of naysayers, and hey, uh, things are going to be insecure. It's going to lead to hacks, all kinds of stuff. So I think a lot happened, from that point forward.
it did, it did, and that's not me trying to minimize uh, anything that happened in 2009. I mean, heck, wasn't that when Microsoft first launched Office 365? But before it was Office 365, when it was BPOS, remember that
Um,
Business
it was,
Productivity Online Suite or something like that?
yeah, it was like the exchange online was starting to expand out. It was something like that. Yeah, I don't know the exact years, but yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. You get big guys like that starting to lead the way. Kind of have a pretty good idea of what's coming.
Hmm. So uh, I've got my screen shared. Garrett, if you wouldn't mind putting that up on the on the stream, that would be awesome. This is the stack chart for cybersecurity vulnerability assessment and management, like I mentioned earlier. And you'll see that similar to last week, there's one vendor that is clearly a chart topper, and there's a lot of vendors in this list. Like if we go through this list, it feels like it scrolls for days. Definitely a lot
Yeah.
more cybersecurity vendors than there are for documentation.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can go through this, but that is, well, vulnerability assessment management's, especially when I was starting out 2009 as well, 2010, 11. Yeah. It was difficult, like a lot of SMBs we go to, they're like, why do we need it? Kind of what you said. You just need an AV and, whatever else, a network, and you were good. But um, I like where we're at with the vulnerability and assessment because um, it was difficult. You need to know that you had somebody on your staff could use things like in Nmat or Burp Suite, things like that. Like, and those are still being used today. But I like what's happening since then. As you go down that list, it just shows that it's like you don't necessarily have to have a dedicated staff with the expertise to be able to know what to do. But these guys have come in and said we'll make this easy. But it's also with these guys are solving all kinds of problems. Just throw it out there like insurance, regulation requirements. There's all kinds of stuff. They make it a lot easier. So as somebody who was doing it a long time to where I am now, I know there's a lot of people out there right now watching this. Know what I'm talking about. It's just like really need to know. But it wasn't just about running the tool. It was about being able to interpret the results and being able to, remediate. Remediate. What you're going to do. And but yeah, there's a lot of teeth now around this, so which is good. But I'm glad to see the list is big and deep like this. Yeah.
I agree. And one thing I want to point out, you'll notice like some of these logos are bold and colorful, and some of them are like grayed out
Hmm.
or semi-transparent. I just want to make sure everyone knows that this is simply our way of showing you which companies have partnered with Channel Program, but all of the companies, whether they're grayed out or not, all of the companies are searchable, findable, reviewable.
Yeah.
You can add them to your Navistack. Even companies that aren't on this list, if you have a new company you're working with, you can add them to your Navistack and write reviews for them. And we vet everything and then approve it and put it online.
Yeah.
So when I was doing some research on this, I started looking into Cyrisma, and I went down I went down a rabbit hole, Garrett. Um,
Yeah.
so
So
so I learned things. Um, so Cyrisma, you can tell that their CEO, Liam Downward, you can tell that he takes cybersecurity very seriously because they assess customer system configurations against CIS benchmarks. And something I've never heard of before, DISA or DISA, I don't know if you're supposed to pronounce it or spell it, STIGs to find configuration gaps. So I ended up looking into this because I want to know what the heck I'm talking about. Um, I learned that there's a government agency called the United States Defense Information Systems Agency. They're basically like the central IT agency for the DoD, and they're responsible for information systems, infrastructure, and cybersecurity that enables DoD communications and operations worldwide. And the configuration standards that it publishes, those are the STIGs. And I forget what STIG stands for, but those are the standards that they publish. So that's the rabbit hole I went down. I learned about a new agency. There are so many agencies, man.
yeah, there are. There's all kinds of stuff out there where it's like, wait, huh? Never heard of these people, or Also, if they change their name or something like that. But yeah, man, there's all kinds of them out there. So
There really are. Now, the reason that these icons are kind of scattered all over the place, you'll
mhm.
see that our charts have two axes, whatever.
Yeah.
So one up and down is popularity, and left and right is satisfaction. So if an icon is up higher on our chart, that means that we've gotten a lot of people to add it to their Navistack, and that people have added a lot of reviews for the product. You'll see
Mhm.
Cyrisma has 14 reviews, which doesn't sound like a whole lot, but the next highest reviews is 6, which is why they're just so much higher, as far as popularity is concerned. And then satisfaction, the left and right, or I think this is the x-axis. I don't know. Um,
Yeah.
Satisfaction is basically how well are they reviewed, and it's more than just like an overall. I give it a 5 star. We ask a lot of questions in our reviews. Garrett, how many questions do we ask?
Uh, we ask. I have to double check where we're. But I think we ask about 15 or 16. I have to double check on that. But um, yeah, we're there's a good portion of those questions that will help average out, um the satisfaction, with the popularity, where they move on that. So yeah, there's a lot that we ask, and time to time we update it to get a little bit more granular, so it's a little more um you know not accurate, but a little higher quality in terms of where these guys would land and what people were saying about them.
Yeah. So I mean, we ask questions from like, what do you like most about the product? What do you want to see on their roadmap? Like we just
Hmm.
we really ask a lot of questions so that way when other MSPs are looking at the reviews for each of these products, we want, for lack of better term, we want people to see the good, the bad, the ugly, and
Yeah.
be able to make a fair assessment of any one of these products on our platform. So, looking at this by popularity, which I believe is how this is sorted, um, Connect Secure, formerly Cyber CNS. Have you had any experience with these guys?
No, not anything hands on. They you said they were formerly, they had the name change and branding and stuff, but I'm definitely seeing them more out in the community. People talking about them, so it's been interesting to see, what's been going on with them. So I think, you know, um, a lot of these guys, is you're going down this, um, I think one of the things about vulnerability scanning, because we've seen some demos with them, especially when they post videos, but I think one of the greatest things about a lot of these guys, they show you sort of an assessment, of where you are, kind of similar to Microsoft's secure store, where it's that here is where you are, and then you could kind of see, how you're making progress, um, for against what you're finding, which is great because we're showing these to your clients. You could even show them their own, and then how you've made progress, over months and quarters, things like that. So I think that there's so many of these, but they're all just the fact that they serve the function that they are serving is just I mean I'm not partial to anyone, but I just like you can't go wrong, with plugging in any vulnerability in scanning and management. But the thing about it is, this stuff used to be more of an add-on, like a it's just a little extra. Oh, hey, we offer security services, but I think that in today's world, it's more of like it has to be part of your stack because
Hmm.
insurance is coming along, and it's just it's a no-brainer, especially with the cloud and it's just easy to, get dinged, but whether or not anything happened or not, but it's great to see all these guys out here, especially from, making things so easy for you, taking that complicated thing out, how it used to be. It was very complicated, back then in the lift, the analysis, and, figuring out how you're going to fix it. And then on top of that, convincing your client to use this and pay for it. So I think I like where we're at. I think they've solved a lot of problems and making things easier for the MSP, where you don't have to be this, expert, like it used to be in the past, where you really need to know your stuff. You still need to know your stuff, but you know what I mean, right?
No, I
You know
know
what I
exactly
mean?
what you mean, man. I'm over here taking notes too. So, the one thing that would be great. I don't know if you're able to easily access this information, but how many MSPs have added one of these platforms to their Navistack?
Oh man, that's a fantastic question. Give me a minute. I can see if I can find something for you, but um, but I, just talking with a lot of these MSPs, there's really not that many that I have talked to that um, have not, you haven't heard um, vulnerability access management. I mean, not vulnerability scanning and management come up, because everybody is doing it. If you don't, somebody else comes along, they're, the clients be like, oh yeah, maybe we do need to, have this. So I mean, I guess if you don't have it, it's more of a competitive advantage for somebody, you
Hmm.
know?
So, so one thing that I want to say about um, cybersecurity is that there are, if you look here at, let me go back a page. If we just look at cybersecurity, look at all these categories. I mean,
Yeah.
this is kind of intense. Cybersecurity is such a, I don't know, such a big thing these days that if you're an MSP and you don't have a handful of these tools already in your solution stack, I think you're already at a disadvantage, if I'm being completely honest. Now, could I tell you, oh, you should have these specific tools? Like all MSPs need to have a vulnerability scanning and management tool. Like I can't tell you that, but I can tell you that the most successful MSPs, the ones that are generating the most revenue, have really started to add um, XDR and zero trust, and a SOC, a SIM, a SOAR, all of these different cybersecurity things. Um,
Hmm.
they're adding it all, man, and that's because they see the competitive advantage. One, and two, they know that their clients need it. Their clients are the kind that maybe they've got clients that need a CMMC, which love it or hate it is a thing, um, or they just have some other government regulatory compliance thing, right? Um, and these types of platforms are what will make it easier for you to prove that they're compliant.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so just kind of the what you're going to see, vulnerability assessment management, percentage wise, um, and as people build these stacks up, it gets fuller and fuller. But right now, I mean, you're looking anywhere 15-20% of all stacks have some vulnerability um, assessment and management tool in it, which is a little surprising. I figured it'd be a lot higher, but it's also, it's kind of one of those things where, some of these guys have different feature sets inside of it, so they can move it, to different categories like dark web scanning, things like that. But so it's really interesting, where they put them and then where they move out some of the features. But that's I mean that's still a lot, about all the MSPs that are putting in stuff. So, but I mean, there's a lot of room for growth here, because one of the things too is, even though you have this, it's still not like as easy as like a password manager. You still need to have some idea of what it is you're doing and why it's important. So I think there's an education component to this, that some MSPs may say, I don't get near that. I'd rather have something separate, which is understandable, because it is something that I mean, you really have to know how to work with this stuff, what they're going to do for you. But it's a commitment, And but I think as time goes on, we're going to see more, that percentage definitely increase.
I agree too. And as you said, 15-20%. That means if you act now and start researching and picking one of these tools, you'll have a competitive advantage over potentially 80 to 85% of the MSPs in your area. You'll be able to say, I'm doing something that most of the other MSPs in my area are not, and here's proof.
Yeah. That was it's kind of the same thing where we used to focus on law firms. And it was one of those things where, after a while I realized with marketing and, our services, like, there were aspects of it that we offered it, or we didn't offer as well, that we realized, or we're losing out. Basically, it was a competitive advantage. So we, and that's the beauty about the industry. It's always changed. All these new services coming on, like, oh, okay, cool. We can manage that sort of stuff now, and it's not as daunting as it used to be. So that, that's what we had to figure out, and that's why we did. I thought we did pretty well for what we did. We figured out, hey, we're going to focus on law firms, entertainment law, well, all kinds of stuff, because we're in Los Angeles and those guys are in every corner. But but it was also about just, especially with lawyers, they know that, when you say you're going to do what you're going to do, and why. Those guys know all the fine details, and they're also aware of new laws coming out, especially when they're going to their conferences. They get updated on, like, hey, cyber insurance stuff. Is your IT guy, or are you guys on it? They'll come back with questions, but hey, I have a question. Are we? How's our? Do we have vulnerability? And scanning and all that. And so that's kind of one of those things where really understanding your market, um, for that competitive advantage, and especially with phone scanning, could really come in handy. In knowing that this applies to them. Maybe not the conversation you're having, but industry wide. So it was a real thing with us. So we always had to stay on top of not just what we know, but what's important to them with their industry and their peers. I think you muted, Steve. Boop, 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 boop.
Oops.
Yeah.
Well, very cool. Thanks for hopping on here and helping me out with this today, Garrett.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to next week. You going to come on with your Apple Vision, or are you going to go back to Oculus? Oh, wait, it's not Oculus anymore now, right? It's
the
Meta
Quest.
Meta.
Quest. Yeah. No, I've got a Meta Quest too, and it has more games, but I've already found that the Apple is more accessible friendly already out of the box, version 1.0.2.
All right. Well, keep me updated. I'm looking forward to more meetings. You come in with that thing on, with your little weird ghost Casper face, whatever was happening there.
My persona.
Strange. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very. Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, hey, thanks for
Yeah.
watching, everyone, and we will catch you guys next week at the next StackChart Spotlight. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.